Sri Brhad Bhagavatamrita, Part 2, Chapter 3, Bhajan, Worship. Text 183, spoken by the Vaikuntha Dutas to Gopakumar and other assembled Vaishnavas. Meditation makes sense when the Supreme Lord cannot be seen, not when he is directly present, but Sankirtan is always befitting whether the Lord is visible or not. Commentary, drawing the argument to a close on an especially sweet note, Madhurena Samapayet. The messengers of Vaikuntha reiterate the importance of Nama Sankirtan. Seeing the Supreme Lord with one's own eyes is more desirable than merely seeing him in meditation, and the best means of achieving direct vision of him is to chant his holy names. The behavior of all kinds of devotees of the Lord give ample evidence that in every situation Sankirtan is appropriate. For example, as described in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:33-7, the gopis of Vrindavan chanted his names while dancing with him in their Rasa Leela. Quote, as the gopis sang in praise of Krishna, their feet danced, their hands gestured, and their eyebrows moved with playful smiles. With their braids and belts tied tight, their waists bending, their faces perspiring, the garments on their breasts moving in this way and that, and their earrings swinging on their cheeks, Lord Krishna's young consorts shone like streaks of lightning in a mass of clouds. This is also described in Vishnu Purana, 2 verses. Quote, Krishna sang about the glories of the autumn moon, whose beams awaken the night blossoming lotuses. Meanwhile, the gopis simply chanted Krishna's name over and over again. And the second verse, Krishna sang a Rasalila song, his voice becoming louder and louder. In response, the gopis sang twice as loud, wonderful, O Krishna, O Krishna. The 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam tells of several instances in which devotees chant Krishna's glories in his absence, as in the prayers sung by the gopis before the rasa dance, chapter 31, and after Krishna's disappearance from the rasa dance, chapter 35, and later during Uddhava's visit to Vrindavan, chapter 47. Text 184. Dearer to the Lord than even his own beautiful form, his easily worshipped holy name benefits the entire world. Indeed, nothing is as full of nectar as the holy name of the Lord. Commentary. In conclusion, the Vaikuntha Dutas wholeheartedly glorify Sri Bhagavan Nama Sankirtan. Sankirtan is all attractive, full with all power, beauty, and opulence. It exerts its powerful influence over anyone who takes part in it, anywhere and anytime. The Lord of Vaikuntha himself is more attracted to the holy name than to his own supreme beauty. The Supreme Lord may indeed regard something as more dear than his own transcendental form. For example, Krishna told Uddhava, 11:14-15. Neither Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Sankarshan, the goddess of fortune, nor indeed my own self is as dear to me as you, Uddhava. The holy name of the Lord is incomparable, semicolon. Nothing else can equal or surpass it. The holy name is the Lord's supreme blessing for the world's welfare, befitting everyone, properly qualified or not, who serves it with any of the senses. It is easily worshipped, requiring only some movement of the tip of the tongue, and it is sa rasa, quote, full of rasa, a term that can be understood in several ways, paragraph. And here's some of the ways. Sa rasa can mean, quote, very gentle, since the holy names consist of sweet sounding syllables. It can also mean, quote, composed of pure spiritual substance, such as ananda. Or it can mean that the holy names are accompanied by all the various devotional relationships, the 9 rasas headed by Shringara, Madhurya rasa. In the pure chanting of the holy names, all these varieties of prema rasa are manifest in the moods of both separation, viraha, and meeting sangha. Rasa also means, quote, attraction to Krishna, parentheses, raga, which devotees performing Sankirtan unavoidably experience as their Krishna prema is rapidly evoked by the holy names. In other words, the Lord's Sankirtan inspires his servants and everyone else to become attracted to the Lord. Paragraph. Rasa also means, quote, special potency or virya vishesha. The chanting of the holy names is extremely powerful. And rasa can mean, quote, exceptional quality, guna vishesha, indicating in the present context that Nam Sankirtan has the power to deliver the most fallen persons of the world. Rasa can also mean, quote, exceptional happiness, shuka vishesha, semicolon. Harinam is the most concentrated essence of happiness, and it also means, quote, exceptional sweetness, madhurya vishesha. Nama Sankirtan is often glorified for its sweetness, as in this famous verse from Prabhas Kanda of Skanda Purana, Madhuram, Madhura Madhuram Etan Mangala Mangalanam, etc. Oh, best of the Bhrigu dynasty. The holy name of Krishna is the sweetest of the sweet, the most auspicious of the auspicious, the transcendental fruit of all the Vedas is purely spiritual. This transcendental fruit of all the Vedas is purely spiritual. Whoever chants it but once, whether with faith or with contempt, is liberated. Paragraph. Even more meanings of the word rasa could be applied to interpreting this verse, but the above examples give at least some understandings of the greatness of Sankirtan. 185. Therefore, honoring the order of Lord Shiva, you should leave this place at once. Go to divine Mathura, the place most dear to Krishna. Oh, Mathura, we bow down to you. Commentary. Lord Shiva had already advised Gopakumar to leave Mahakalapura and go to Mathura on the earth. Now the Vaikuntha messengers encourage him to do this at once. The very reason they came down from Vaikuntha was to make Gopakumar return to Boma Vrindavan. In case Gopakumar, having traveled so far to reach the abode of liberation, questions why he should go back to where he started from, the Vaikuntha Dutas assure him that Sri Mathura, Krishna's favorite place, will shower him with the fulfillment of all his ambitions without delay. Last verse of chapter 3. Sri Gopakumar said, upon drinking this invigorating tonic for the ears and heart, I was filled with delight. I bowed down to the messengers from Vaikuntha and to Lord Shiva and his wife, and by their grace, I was swept at once to this Brajabhumi. Oh, how my mind was stunned. Commentary. A moment before, Gopakumar had been offering prostrate obeisances, and now when he looked up, he suddenly found himself in Brajabhumi. This left him bewildered. Thus ends the third chapter, part 2 of Srila Sanatana Goswami's Brhad Bhagavatamrita, entitled Bhajan and Worship. Chapter 4, Vaikuntha, the Spiritual Kingdom. I wandered alone, observing on the earth a splendor I had never seen anywhere, taking up residence in a forest, as if in a daze. I forgot everything from before. Commentary. This fourth chapter describes the transcendental reality of Vaikuntha and the appearance and qualities of its inhabitants. The chapter glorifies the deity forms of the Supreme Lord and extols the position of Ayodhya above Vaikuntha and of Dwarka above Ayodhya. Paragraph. The first part of the chapter shows that Sri Brajabhumi in Mathura district is superior to every other place in the material universe and even to the abode of liberation. When Gopakumar returned to the earth, he could see with his own eyes the special beauty of Vrindavan forest and the rest of Brajabhumi. Nowhere else, inside or outside this universe, had he seen such splendor. Taking up residence again in the various forests of Braja, Gopakumar was so enchanted that he forgot everything the associates of Lord Narayan had told him about how to attain the spiritual kingdom of Vaikuntha. The very name of this district, Mathura, implies that it charms and agitates, literally, quote, churns, matnati. It churns the mind of everyone who goes there. M-A-T-H-N-A-T-I, matnati. Text 2. In the course of my playful wanderings, I came to Mathura, Sri Madhupuri. There I heard the Bhagavatam and other scriptures from the local Brahmanas. Commentary. By the grace of the Lord of Mathura, Gopakumar obtained everything he desired. Following the regular parikrama path, he eventually arrived in Mathura city. Then the devoted and learned Brahmanas of Mathura taught the essence of the revealed scriptures, primarily as given in Srimad Bhagavatam and a few other texts that faintly follow the Bhagavatam on the science of Bhagavad Bhakti. Text 3. After rightly understanding the meaning of devotional service in its 9 forms, I came to this forest. And as soon as I arrived, I met my divine spiritual master. Commentary. By hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from the qualified Mathura Brahmanas, at last, Gopakumar systematically learned the science of devotional service. He learned what is favorable and unfavorable to bhakti. Or, in other words, what a devotee should accept and what he should reject. This knowledge of Bhagavad Dharma enabled him to properly value the association of Sri Vrindavan Dham and of that special resident of Vrindavan, his spiritual master. Text 4. He appeared splendid, just as before. And when he saw me lying prostrate before him, he joyfully embraced me and offered his blessings. Thus, my all-knowing master showed me his extreme mercy. Commentary. In all the time that Gopakumar had been away on higher planets, his spiritual master had not changed. So it was easy for Gopakumar to accept that the spiritual master was both an incarnation of the Supreme Lord and a Rasika expert in the unique mood of Brajabhumi. The spiritual master showed Gopakumar complete mercy by teaching him enough about devotional service to lead him through the entire process up to the stage of full realization. Being omniscient, the spiritual master was competent to perform this service. Text 5. Receiving his grace, which revealed to me the most confidential secrets, I followed his instructions by practicing bhakti yoga without interruption. Commentary. Devotional service is the highest form of yoga because it is the means for attaining the world of Vaikuntha and, even more important, reestablishing one's own connection with the personality of Godhead's lotus feet. Gopakumar now endeavored with all sincerity to follow this process systematically according to his guru's instructions. Text 6 through 7. Such a flood of pure love of God so quickly awakened within me that I lost control of myself. I wasn't able to do anything but chant the glories of the Lord. Oh Krishna Gopal Hari, Mukunda Govinda, oh Nandakishore Krishna, oh darling son of Sri Yashoda, please show me your favor. Oh life of the divine cowherd girls, oh Lord of Radhika. Nice verse, huh? Radhika Isha. Commentary. On this visit to Vrajabhumi, Gopakumar quickly achieved the perfection of prema bhakti. This prema so overwhelmed him that he was unable to do anything but sing the Lord's glories. He could not even perform proper worship. To show his student how he was performing Nama Sankirtan, Gopakumar here chants a few of the Supreme Lord's favorite names. Text 8. Thus, I called out to Krishna and sang his glories in various ways. At one moment I danced exuberantly. At another, sobbed out loud. Like a madman, I wandered here and there according to my whims, forgetting my own body and everything else. Commentary. Caught up in the state of pure love, Gopakumar completely disregarded external conditions. He wandered aimlessly like a madman, expressing his transcendental agitation by calling out such things as, where are you, O mighty armed one? Ekada. One day, I thought I saw the Lord of my life standing before me, and I ran to take hold of him. Overwhelmed by love, I fainted and fell to the ground. Commentary. The phrase prema vivalaha, or overwhelmed by love, explains why Gopakumar was behaving so strangely. Texts 10 through 11. At that moment, the associates of the Lord arrived in an airplane to take me to Vaikuntha. They at once put me on that plane and carried me away, and when I opened my eyes, I saw that everything was different. Shocked. I returned to full consciousness and saw them beside me, the same benefactors I had met before. Commentary. Just as Gopakumar's pure love, reached its peak, the messengers of Vaikuntha came to bring him to their Lord's kingdom. They took Gopakumar unconscious onto their Vaikuntha vehicle, and while in flight, he woke up. Opening his eyes and looking around, he was astonished to find himself in unfamiliar surroundings. He was certainly no longer in Brajabhumi. The Vaikuntha Dutas, Gopakumar's instructors, had previously evoked in him the desire to see Vaikuntha and had taught him the special methods for approaching Vaikuntha. Now, by carrying him there, they were personally awarding him the success of his endeavors. Text 12. Pretty exciting, huh? The plane upon which they rode was wonderful, incomparable, indescribably beautiful, excelling in brilliance. The most powerful luminaries. Commentary. The airplane from Vaikuntha glowed more brilliantly than the sun. In the material world, airplanes or vimanas also transport the demigods through outer space, but those material airplanes are nothing like the one Gopakumar and his escorts were riding in. It was certainly yogya, a suitable conveyance for Gopakumar. Words could not describe how elegantly it was built, since it was manifest from the pure substance of the spiritual world. Text 13. As I reverently offered obeisances, those associates of the Lord embraced me and reassured me again and again, putting forward hundreds of arguments they wished to give me a bodily form like theirs. Commentary. The associates of Narayana assured Gopakumar that he need not be surprised and should not treat them with such reverence. They were his friends, they told him, and were now bringing him to Vaikuntha. They furthermore tried to convince him to accept a Vaikuntha body like theirs with 4 arms. His human body, they argued, was not suitable for living in Vaikuntha, semicolon. It would not be adequate for fully enjoying Vaikuntha life. Text 14. But I refused their offer, and instead, by their influence, my own body, born in Govardhan, assumed qualities and beauty like theirs. Sanatan Goswami Ki Jai. Commentary. Gopakumar did not want to accept Sarupya Mukti, the form of liberation in which one's body is virtually indistinguishable from that of Lord Narayan. He was satisfied with the body of a resident of Govardhan. Nonetheless, his hosts blessed his body with qualities like theirs, making it eternal, purely spiritual, and effulgent. In addition, Gopakumar gained the mystic powers to do whatever he might want, the powers that all the residents of Vaikuntha naturally possess. Text 15. In their company, I traveled along the path to Vaikuntha, a path inconceivable, supremely blissful, and distinct from everything in this world. Text 16, 17. My eyes fell upon all those worlds, cosmic regions, and coverings of the universe I had visited before, and I felt ashamed. The residents and presiding rulers of those places were honoring me. Faces upraised, palms joined above their heads, they vigorously cast flowers, parched rice, and other auspicious offerings upwards towards me. Commentary. Gopakumar had previously traveled to the abode of liberation by passing through the sphere of the sun. But The path of the present journey to Vaikuntha was even more exceptional. This was the path the pure devotees traverse when they leave this material world for the spiritual world. Unlike tiresome material roads, this path was supremely blissful, and it leads to the realm of Vaikuntha, a realm superior, even to the abode of liberation. The same words Gopakumar had previously same worlds Gopakumar had previously reached with great labor within the 14 planetary systems and beyond. He now easily passed through one after another. He passed the planets, encircled by the Loka mountain, and entered the part of the universe where sunlight cannot reach. Then he went again through each of the 8 covering shells of the universe. Paragraph. On his first trip to Mahakalapur, the abode of liberation, Gopakumar had known well that the regions through which he was passing were all creations of material illusion. On the present journey, however, his realization was more advanced. He now understood that liberation itself is of little value, so he was ashamed to even look at the material attractions he once found of interest. As he passed by all the planets, he had to tolerate the respectful greetings of Indra and other rulers. Phew. Text 18. Praised by cries of victory and offered obeisances at every step, I moved on, and before my eyes I saw the abode of liberation and how trifling it was. And traveling upward from there, I came to the world of Lord Shiva. There I bowed down to Lord Shiva and Uma with great pleasure, and he made me feel blissful with a flood of gracious words filled with love and respect. And then I went on to that place whose garland of glories cannot be touched by words or by the mind, Vaikuntha. 20. The associates of the Lord told me, please wait here for a moment outside. We should take permission from our Lord before bringing you into his city. Commentary. The Vaikuntha Dutas asked Gopakumar to stay behind in the gateway while they went inside Vaikuntha to secure permission for his entrance. This is the standard etiquette for introducing someone to the supreme opulence of Vaikuntha. Specific permission should be obtained for him either from the Lord Vaikuntanath directly or from a proper deputized authority. 21. Stay calm and with your eyes illumined by devotion for the Lord, count the waves of the vast ocean of wonders that flow here, one after another, wonders you have never seen or heard before. Commentary. Gopakumar's escorts could see he was feeling distress from being kept apart from his Lord, so they gave him this light-hearted advice to console him and keep his mind calm and his eyes busy with the work of counting the wonders that would pass before him. From the many amazing things he would see during his short wait at the Gopura of Vaikuntha, he would learn something about the unique glories of Lord Vaikunthanath, and that would strengthen his eagerness to have the Lord's darshan. He would learn about the methods of worshiping the Supreme Lord in awe and reverence, and moreover, the experience he would gain while waiting would teach him something about the many benefits of becoming a servant of Lord Narayan. Thus, his short time in the gateway would be productive. Gopakumar's hosts were joking when they told him to count the wonderful things he would see, a task no easier than counting the waves in the ocean. Quote, How will my eyes have the power to do this? Gopakumar might ask. Anticipating this question, the Vaikuntha messengers told him that his eyes would be illuminated by Bhagavat Bhakti. Even the commentary is fantastic, huh? 22. Sri Gopakumar said, they went in, and I stood outside in the pavilion of the entrance gate. I then beheld someone coming and entering that great city. He rode on a transcendental vehicle endowed with the opulence of hundreds of universes. Music and other entertainment filled him with delight. He resembled the Supreme Lord in luster and beauty. Commentary. The person Gopakumar saw entering on a Vaikuntha airplane was absorbed in ecstasy. He was surrounded by his own entourage, like the Supreme Lord, and by opulence greater than in hundreds of material universes. He was dressed and ornamented just like the Lord, and his companions were chanting his praises as if he were the Lord. 24. I thought he was Sri Hari, and I cried out again and again, "Oh Lord, protect me," and bowed down to him. But he covered both his ears and gestured for me to stop. Commentary. This returning resident of Vaikuntha was shocked to hear himself addressed as the Lord of Vaikuntha. Covering his ears with his hands and sticking out his tongue, he waved another hand at Gopakumar to stop him. Sticking out his tongue. I am a servant, he told me. I'm a servant of the servants. And he moved into the city. A short while later, another person came. Splendid, with even more power and opulence. I looked at him and thought, surely he must be the Lord of the universe. He must have gone somewhere as a pastime, and now he is entering his own abode. Commentary. Gopakumar was awestruck and not thinking clearly. He should have known that because his escorts had gone inside to inform Lord Narayan of his arrival, the Lord must be in Vaikuntha, not returning from elsewhere. But perhaps Gopakumar's escorts were simply unaware that the Lord had gone out on a short excursion. 27. When the person saw me bowing down with gestures of reverence and offering him prayers, as I had honored the one before, he affectionately spoke to me in the same way and entered the city. Commentary. Even more convinced that this second person was the Supreme Lord, Gopakumar offered him prayers with all sincerity, but just as the other returning Vaikuntha Vasi had done, this one told Gopakumar, I'm just a servant of the Lord, and hurried inside the city. Really nice reading. 28. Many others came, some alone, some in pairs, and yet others came in larger groups, and all of them, each more splendid than the last, entered the city of the Lord. Seeing them as they passed by, I was immersed, as before, in an ocean of awe. Again, and I bowed down and offered prayers, and each time they again stopped me with nectarian affectionate words. Commentary. These Vaikuntha residents whom Gopakumar saw entering the gateway last were army commanders and other important authorities, returning late because they had been busy with various responsibilities outside. The residents who had first passed Gopakumar had been in a hurry, so intent on their business that their opulence had little chance to show. So, the residents he now saw going by seemed more and more opulent, one after another. Gopakumar, submerged in an ocean of reverence, failed to reason that these different persons could not all be Lord Narayan. Each of them was, in fact, supremely attractive. So, even when Gopakumar finally realized that these were servants of God, not God himself, they still impressed him as such great personages that he spontaneously wanted to worship them. 30. Some of them carried various items for performing their service, and others simply hurried forward intoxicated by the tastes of the nectar of devotion. Commentary. Some of these servants of Lord Narayan were carrying paraphernalia for his worship, chamar fans and other objects, apparently for their individual services. Others weren't carrying anything, but simply running in a frenzy of devotion, as if their only service was to be mad in love of God. In the following verses, Gopakumar elaborates on how these Vaikuntavasis were engaged in various kinds of service. 31. All had their minds and senses busily absorbed, each one in his own service, and all were decorated with a myriad of pleasures, from ecstatic worship of the Lord, offering obeisances, reciting prayers, and doing all sorts of wonderful things. Those devotees, their every limb lending grace to their ornaments, looked fit to appear before their worshipable Lord. They extolled the wonder of the great pastimes of the Lord, the husband of Lakshmi, as if his pastimes were those of some all victorious king, and they were all eager to see the Lord's lotus feet. Commentary. Gopakumar was amazed at how these persons conducted themselves. They sang and danced without inhibition, expressing the glories of their victorious Lord. They told one another how the Lord favored his responsible servants by providing suitable homes and fine food and drink. Indeed, because Lord Narayan is the husband of the goddess Lakshmi, it is only fitting that he display his sovereignty with such opulence and that his servants share in it. 34. Some were with their families, some with an array of things, and others had left their families and things outside. Commentary. Some Vaikuntavasis were entering the Lord's kingdom with their children, wives, and servants. Some rode in their own vehicles and carried their own umbrellas, chamras, and weapons. Others chose to keep their families and baggage outside the gate of Vaikuntha. 35. Some had absorbed all that they had into themselves, and like beggars without possessions, they came alone, immersed in moods of devotional meditation. Commentary. The Vaikuntha devotees who preferred a more meditative mood of service hid within their own transcendental bodies the families and property Lord Narayan had awarded them. So the devotees arriving in Vaikuntha were full in all powers and showed the full range of devotional variegatedness in their pastimes of worshiping the Supreme Lord in perfect ecstasy. 36. Some assumed different forms at different times, with all kinds of ornaments, bodily features, and ways of acting, all exceedingly attractive. Commentary. The Vaikuntha devotees not only acted in many different ways, but also assumed many different forms, including even those of animals, birds, and trees. Some devotees would show one form for some time and then change into another. What a place. 37. Some appeared as humans, some as monkeys, demigods, demons, or sages. Some bore the signs of persons initiated into the behavior of the Varnashram system. Commentary. The residents of Vaikuntha are in fact purely transcendental persons. The substance of their bodies is unalloyed Satchitananda, so these residents never belong to the human or any other material species, nor to the limited designations of varnas and ashrams. Still, for the Supreme Lord's pleasure, they may assume or relinquish any form at any time. Some of them therefore appeared before Gopakumar like members of Vedic society, wearing the signs of a particular ashram and varna. Some wore sacred threads, like initiated brahmanas, indicating that they chanted mantras for worshiping the Lord. And they carried kushagrass and kamandalus in their hands, and wore tulsi malas on their necks, and had tilak on their foreheads. 38. Some looked like Indra, Chandra, and other demigods. Some had 3 eyes, 4 heads, 4 arms, or 8, or 1,000 faces. Commentary. Some of the Vaikuntha residents look like the king of heaven, Indra, with 1,000 eyes on their bodies and the thunderbolt weapons in their hands. Others appeared like the gods of the moon, sun, fire, and wind. These demigods, headed by Indra, are not actually incarnations of the Supreme Lord, like Shiva and Brahma, who are especially empowered guna avatars. If required for service to Lord Narayan, the Vaikuntha Vasis can assume the exact forms of ordinary demigods, but empowered incarnations and direct expansions of Narayan, such as Anantashesh, the Vaikuntha Vasis can only emulate to the extent of copying certain of their bodily features. 39. Later, I shall explain to you the reasons for this extreme variety of appearances. For those who enjoy the moods of devotion to Krishna, is there anything not beautiful? Commentary. In Vaikuntha the liberation of Sarupya, having a form similar to that of the Supreme Lord, is available to everyone. We may reasonably expect, therefore, that all the Vaikuntha residents should have 4 arms and look like Lord Narayan. Why then did some of them look like humans, monkeys, and all sorts of other forms of life? Gopakumar later heard from Narada Muni the definite philosophical explanation for this variety. And in the course of the present narration, Gopakumar will relate that to his own student. But even granting that there is a reason for varieties of bodies in Vaikuntha, why should Lord Narayan's devotees assume ugly bodies like those of monkeys? In response, it may be said that we know from common worldly experience that anyone who has intense attraction to something cannot help but see that thing as beautiful, no matter what it is. This is also true on the spiritual level. Otherwise, why would the Supreme Lord and his devotees be so attracted to persons like Hanuman and Jambavan? Text 4041. The residents of Vaikuntha transcend everything material. For persons within the material creation, the manifold glories of those residents and of the Vaikuntha world and its master are beyond analogy. and beyond the power of words to describe. I think I'm going to end with this commentary. Normally, the varieties of life forms in any realm indicate a vast hierarchy of relative superiority and inferiority, as Gopakumar saw among the residents of heaven. Such a hierarchy might seem out of place in Vaikuntha, where everyone should be equal on the platform of Satchitananda. Gopakumar wants to explain carefully to his student the real situation, but is afraid of committing offenses by applying material examples to the transcendental reality of Vaikuntha. Therefore, he first gives a disclaimer, : comparisons to things of the known world may help neophytes begin to understand the spiritual world, but can never do full justice to that higher reality, since the categories of spiritual existence are totally different from those of the material world. Spiritually immature intelligence has no power to comprehend them directly. Shri Brhad Bhagavatamrita ki jai.